BLUETTI have kindly sent me a couple of their products to check out. The AC200MAX portable power station and the B300 expandable battery. The AC200MAX has a battery capacity of just over 2000 watt hours, and the B300 has a capacity of just over 3000 watt hours, giving a total of 5120 watt hours. And if that's not enough power, you can add another B300 to the system to give a whopping 8192 watt hours. The 200MAX has numerous output options. It's got 4 240 volt AC sockets, which are powered by a 2200 watt pure sine wave inverter, which can cope with a surge of up to 4800 watts. It's got 2 USB ports at 3 amps, 2 USB ports at 18 watt for fast charging, a 100 watt USB-C socket, 12 volt 10 amp DC socket, a standard 12 volt car outlet, and a 12 volt 30 amp RV port. It also has a couple of wireless charging pads on the top, but I think I need a fancy phone for that to work for me. The B300 can be used as a standalone unit, but it's mainly a battery, so it only has USB A and C ports and a standard 12 volt car outlet. There's also a simple LED charge indicator. There's several different ways to charge a BLUETTI. You can use a 240 volt power brick wall adapter, or you can use the aviation socket to charge from solar or from 12 volt car outlet. You can also charge by generator or lead acid battery. BLUETTI have used standard solar MC4 plugs, which is really good as it allows you to connect to any solar panels that you may already have. The unit simply plugged together with the fusion cable and lock into place. You can connect up to 900 watts of solar to the 200MAX. I've got a couple of 120 panels that I can connect up. They used to be on my van, but it's winter in the UK at the moment and I have quite a lot of trees to contend with, so I'm not expecting too much. You can charge by AC adapter and solar at the same time to get up to 1300 watts of input, but that's obviously dependent on the weather. So I've got a little bit of sun out there today, even though it's winter, and we're pulling just over 100 watts off those two panels to go with the AC input. The touchscreen is really good and easy to use. It shows you the inputs and outputs you need to know. Lets you know what solar you're getting or not getting. It's where you power your AC and DC on and off, and you can easily check your battery status. There's a bunch of other settings like data and alarm history and maintenance if you want to delve a bit deeper. You can also download an app onto your smartphone. This lets you check the most important stats and control the unit from your phone, which is a really cool feature to have. So I'm just collecting up pretty much all the rechargeable items I use on a daily basis, and there was a lot more than I thought there was. So let's see if there's enough sockets to plug them all in. I'm not sure if that does much for my OCD, but it's quite impressive. So that's pulling 151 watts on the AC, 9 on the DC. So I'll let that charge for a bit, and we'll try some of the power tools and machines, see how it copes with them. Other power tools I've got work fine. I'll just show you a few that seem to use the most. The planer thicknesser, bandsaw and table saw rated too high, so I didn't try those. The chop saw is pulling around 580. The grinder initially got to 260, then dropped to 0, but still worked, which was weird. The belt sander was pulling around 630. The drill press pulled around 200. The biggest surprise was the lathe. It's rated at 1500 but was only pulling around 220 at 1300 RPM. So I suppose I've no excuse not to turn something. So I've got a piece of U on the lathe. It's running at 788 RPM. It's pulling around 170 watt, and I've got 92% battery. So we'll see how we get on. So that's the outside shaped and sanded. I've got to flip it around now, hollow it out. But we're only down to 88%, so loads of power. So the piece is pretty much finished now. It needs another couple of coats of oil at some point. We're down to 8%, so that's used 12% to turn that, and that's pretty much turning on and off all day. So that's well impressive. I expected it to use a lot more power than it did, so happy days. The AC200MAX and the B300 are really well made and really cool looking units. It's no surprise the AC200MAX won an IF award in 2022. I have a friend who has an AC200P which looks very similar, and he likes it so much he uses it for a side table in his house when it's not in his van, but I don't think his wife's too keen on that. I'm really impressed with the units, and they could definitely be used for backup power in the home or shop, or even go off grid to an extent. They will also be really useful on trips away in a van or camping, and there'll be plenty of power to charge your e-bike multiple times. Big thanks to BLUETTI for sending me these units. It would be a great addition to go with the EB70, which I've had for a couple of years. If portable power is something you might be interested in, it's well worth checking out BLUETTI's website, where there's lots of different sized units to suit any scenario. Check out the links in the description to take a closer look. Thanks for watching.